So I didn't like the stick I had, and I went and I got a straighter one. This one was bent quite a bit and it's almost dead. So it's gonna be hanging above a fire for a few days. I don't want it to be dead and catch on fire and it's all crooked. So we'll use this for either firewood or something else. Now this stick is fairly straight. It's got a little bit of a hook in the bottom, which I will utilize. And what I'm thinking is we will round this top and then have the base piece here. Now, when there's any kind of a curve to it, always go on the inside of that curve, because if you go on the outside of that curve, the stick will peel itself off of the hook that it's hanging on. But if you go on the inside of the curve, it'll just hang. So nothing's gonna be perfectly straight except for maybe pine if you're in a spruce pine forest, but for the most part, it's all gonna have a little bit of a curve. So having said that, I know that's my measurement right there, and that's where I want to put the first notch. So the way I do this notch is I'm just going to do an X like this and an X like this. Now I will hold this. I did the initial X to create my marking spot. I'm gonna bank it. I don't want to go past the halfway mark of the stick, because then I'm cutting through the heartwood and I start degrading the strength of the stick. So I just want to tap it slightly, make sure I get both edges cut. Now once I've made this X, this part is what it's going to hang on. So I am just going to slide cut all of that other stuff out. Okay. What you can see is that that will leave a little hanger here. Now this is obviously not deep enough for it to grab, and I also don't want the vertical stick to hang up right here, so I'm going to come an inch or two lower, slide all of that mass out. And if you're not sure, just experiment with it, try it, and see where it hangs up on, and then remove it. It's kind of like setting up a trigger trap. You try it a couple times, you remove a little bit of the material, not a lot, and you try it again until you get what the desired outcome is. But for here, I know from experience that that front place, I have to have a lot of it removed or it's going to hang up on the stick. Hard to talk about a thing that doesn't have a real technical name or label. So that's how I'm going to make my notches. Now this initial notch is created. Let me clean it up a little bit more. Once this initial notch is created, I need to undercut it right here. So all that I'm going to do is just cut that out right there. That little undercut gives me the shelf that I'm going to hang this stick on. So if I just use my thumb as an example right now, that's how it's going to work. Okay, so we can test this and put it right here. Now I don't have a notch on my upper stick yet, but I'm going to create one real quick. Make this a little more level. And all I've done is just made a flat top, carved the sides in. Now I'm going to put that little notch on the top, just like you're notching a hearth board for a bow drill. It's kind of got some fiber buildup there. It just needs to be strong enough that I can do that with it. So now, as I add weight to it, that pot will be able to hang on it. The next thing I need is the hanger for the pot on the bottom. I'm going to have it hang off of this fork, so I'm going to take off the stick below that point, which will allow me to create the hook at the bottom of the stick. without all this extra piece on it. I'm also going to get rid of this little leg we got hanging off. So now, if I measure it again, like I said earlier, test it, clean it up a little bit, test it some more. Now it lets me know that I need to put my pot hanger right there. So again, we X cut it. Clear cut the bottom of that X. And then clean it out. And for this, I'm going to put a pot on it. I'm not going to put wood against it. So I want kind of a sloping curve in the back of that hook instead of the little notch that I had on the other one. And then here again, I'm going to do the undercut. And this will give me the ability to pick up my pot. Put it right above the fire. Now, like I said earlier, you might want this to be at different heights. So what I'm going to do is maybe put 2 more notches at different heights so that I can go this high or this high to take my pot off the fire. And I know I've mentioned this already, but it is so nice to be able to just grab a stick with a nice hook and move your burning hot pot around without grabbing a hold of it with your hand and burning your fingers. Let's do 2 more of these notches. And I'm basically looking at this stick as here's 100%, here's 50%. I want to go above and below 50% because that's about the size that I want, or about the spacing that I want on my pot. Go lower. Now the hooks here are going to be just like that hook above, in that you cut a lot of material in the front of it so that it can clear the stick that it's hanging on. If you don't do that, the rocking motion of this stick will pull it off of its perch. And we undercut it. Looks pretty good. Clean some of this out a little bit. And then make one more right about here. And then lastly, we do that simple undercut. And we're good. Okay, let's test it. So my fire's died down, which is totally fine. I mean, we can build it back up. That is the lowest level. And if the fire is a little bit larger, there's the next level. And the fire is really huge, or we just want it to stay warm but not get cold, there's a top level. And that's how you build the Burtonsville rig.